Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Inman InStudio. I'm Lauren Walker, I'm Senior Director of Strategy here at Inman, and today I'm really excited to sit down with Drew Ewer. Drew is CEO and founder of Homelight, and you've got some cool things to talk about today because we wanted to be forward-looking, right, Drew? So that's what we're going to do today.
Sounds great, Lauren. It's wonderful to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're the right person to have this conversation with because I don't know of any other company that has been, as forward-looking as Homelight has been. And that was even before anything happened, before a pandemic, hit the world.
It's the Wayne Gretzky saying, you got to skate to where the puck is going, not where it is, right? And so we've definitely tried to do that over the years. And with the world changing, with COVID and everything, it feels like every week or two there's a new, dramatically kind of new environment or new considerations that we and other companies and the whole industry need to be taking into consideration.
I mean, from a national to a local level, because what's happening in your neck of the woods on the West Coast is not necessarily what's happening here on the East Coast, and so everyone has kind of a new understanding week by week. You're absolutely right there.
Yeah.
You guys did some really interesting research, which I love talking about. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about the survey that you did recently?
Sure. So this is called our Top Agents Insight Survey. And so what we do is we interview 2,000-ish top agents across the country.
Wow.
They have to be top agents per the Homelight algorithm, et cetera. And we've been accelerating the how often we do this because the world has been changing so fast. So basically, we've been interviewing sending questionnaires to this group of agents every 2 weeks for the past several months.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's really amazing just how what the difference like a month makes, right? In terms of everyone's perception, of reality or their, how excited they are or concerned they are, right? So, obviously in March and April, there was a lot of pessimism, right? Rightfully so. People were really concerned about where the world was going, but in terms of agent optimism has really snapped back. So what's crazy is by the end of May, right? So we're not even talking June numbers,
right?
But by the end of May, we asked just a general question about how optimistic are you about about the real estate market. So just really broad question. By the end of May, agent optimism actually exceeded levels before the pandemic.
You're kidding.
Right. So by the end of May, agent optimism actually exceeded levels before the pandemic. So specifically, just the number of agents saying that they were optimistic about the future was at 82% at the end of May versus 79, kind of in February, right before things started. And these levels had dipped quite a bit, in the March and April timeframe. And so I think that people are still concerned about inventory, right? People are still concerned about just, whether or not there's going to be enough inventory, enough listings out there, because I think sellers are still kind of hunkered down a little bit. But we've got, historically low rates. And I think a lot of people are having a very dynamic and changing kind of life situation. And so you have buyers out there. I mean, I myself am looking to buy a home outside of the city of San Francisco, for gosh sakes.
Goodness.
Get me out of this city.
Yeah.
And so I just think a lot of people are looking at new options.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. And that's so interesting to kind of be able to benchmark at that granular level. Those changes of perspectives. And that really informs kind of the work that Homelight does, right? That you guys are developing products based on what you're seeing and where you see the industry going. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Homelight is we're best known, but at a high level, we want to reduce the friction in the process for agents, for clients, for everybody. Overall, our vision is a world where every single real estate transaction is simple, certain, and satisfying. And we're doing everything we can to make that vision a reality. What this means is, so for many, many years, we've taken the friction out of the process for agents by delivering them really high quality referrals, right? Buyers and sellers who were transaction ready, who were pre-vetted, and it made the customer acquisition, the client acquisition efforts of agents much easier. But over the last 18 to 24 months, we spent a lot of time then building out a suite of other products, services, technology that helps facilitate that frictionless transaction, right? And we really kind of think about this as a way for agents to future-proof their business. The thing is that there's new technology coming out all the time.
Yes.
And some agents put their head in the sand, and and don't want to. They're concerned that new technology might disrupt their business.
Yes.
Our call to action to top agents is to do the exact opposite. To take the new tools and technology that are coming out and embrace them, use them as put them in your arsenal, right? In January, I gave a talk at Inman Connect, where I really encouraged agents to be the app store, not the app.
Right.
And what this means is provide your clients a suite of all of the options out there, right? Like help be an objective advisor to them. Think of yourself as perhaps like a wealth advisor, right? Where you're giving your client all of the options and then letting them decide what is right for them. This could mean that you're having an iBuyer conversation with them, right? This could mean that you're having a conversation about, hey, maybe you don't need to sell. Maybe you just need to release some equity from your home by selling a portion of your property, or by selling your property and leasing it back, things like that. And there's all kinds of new and innovative tools and technology out there that can help people do this. And if, as an agent, if you are able to understand all of these tools, understand all of this technology, then you will have a more comprehensive conversation with your clients. They will trust you.
Yes.
And earning that trust is key to that long-term relationship that will result in, in business. And so that's at a high level. That's what we think is the ever-changing role of the real estate agent. That's how an agent future-proofs themselves against this new tech. And then on top of it, we've made it our mission to help empower agents with many of those tools and many of that much of that technology, so that they can help their clients achieve just a game-changing experience, an experience that's a much better one.
Sure. And that's so interesting because it gives them a talking point against that disruption threat, right? Because you're still the expert. We used to talk about local expertise. That's really your wheelhouse, is you're the local expert, you're the trusted advisor. But you're saying augment that. You're saying add to that and be fluent in the options that your buyers and sellers are going to consider, and they still will need you.
That's right. And you still should be that local expert, but it's all about staying on top of what are the new tools and technology that are available to help the client get a better outcome. So I'll give you an example. So perhaps the best example of this is like our Tradein product. We launched it in January, and what it does is it's this age-old problem where a homeowner wants to buy a new home, but they have to sell their existing home first in order to buy the new one, for two reasons. Number one, they need to unlock cash for the down payment. And then two, most likely they're not going to qualify for two mortgages at once because of DTI ratios, right? And so there's this this problem. It's always inconvenient and costly for the consumer, no matter which route they choose. They can make an offer contingent on them selling their existing home, but that's a very, very weak offer. And so in any competitive market, you most likely are never going to win with an offer like that. Like, certainly in California where I live, and many other parts of the market. Alternatively, you can sell your home and do a lease back, like for, call it 3 months, while you're looking for a new property. But oftentimes buyers don't want to lease you the home for 3 months or whatever, and and then the clock's ticking to find a new property. And so most likely, you might have to settle for something that's maybe not ideal on the other end. And so there's really no good way to solve this problem until recently. And so we launched our trade-in product. We effectively purchase the homeowner's home and at a guaranteed price, or we indicate to them early in their process what we would purchase it for, and that unlocks buying power so that they can make a very attractive offer on a new home, and we will purchase their existing home as soon as they close on the new one, and the entire transaction is seamless. And then what we do is we resell their existing home. We typically purchase it at a price that we know that we can resell it for a profit, right, to protect us. But then we resell it, and we immediately give all of that profit back to the client, minus a very reasonable fee. So it's like kind of the best of both worlds, because you have certainty on selling your existing property. You know that you're going to unlock a lot of liquidity by doing that. And then once we take it on balance sheet and we turn around and sell it, you get all the upside. So you don't have to worry about us, kind of making money by flipping your home. We basically flip your home for you and give you all the profits.
Right. And that's again, right. It's coming down to that reducing friction, right? That's an effort to reduce that stress of the time of with the chicken or the egg. And also, you're empowering agents. If we come back to this future-proof idea, the agent that educates their buyer or seller about this option, that's a real differentiator.
That's right. And so this product is specifically designed for agents, whereas there are some other companies out there that have products that are kind of similar in that they are trade-in products, but they are structured as brokerages, saying you have to use our brokerage. They're going straight to the consumer, saying, "Hey, use our brokerage, and we'll solve this trade-in issue for you." And we're saying, like, "Hey, look, agents need this tool in order to compete with that, right?" And so we're basically we're giving agents the tools and technology we think that they need to win to compete, in 2020 and beyond.
Absolutely. So what's so interesting to me, Drew, is you guys came out with this, like you said, you took the stage at Inman Connect in January and announced this, and it was really exciting. But that was January, and we're in a very different world right now. And once again, Homelight is out front and kind of adapting to this world that we're in. And now you have this safety product that you're coming out with. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So, we probably went through the same kind of, life cycle of a lot of companies. Like when, at first there was denial and then acceptance, and kind of all the stages of what is going on with COVID, right? I do think that we were quite quick to understand kind of the new state of the world, and so by late March, we obviously in the month of March we did a lot of adjustments with our business to make sure that we had we were in a really great footing for many years to come. And then by late March, around April 1, we said, hey, look, how do we shouldn't be just playing defense here. We also need to play offense. And we need to actually, this thing's going to be around for a long time. We need to figure out how to, compete effectively in this environment, and how to help our agents win business in this environment. And so we said, well, right now everyone's concerned about health and safety. Absolutely. So, but we and the market had kind of frozen up. Like in many markets, you had existing home sales off like 60% or more. And so, well, look, people want to transact. It's not like life events cause people to sell a home, right? The new baby, the empty nest, unfortunately, things like, divorce, death, etc. Like these life events are still happening. And so there's still this fundamental need to sell a home. It's just people are scared. People, they don't want, they don't want a lot of people looking at, in their home. And they're concerned about COVID and safety. So, but we do fundamentally believe that there is a safe and effective way to sell a piece of property in this environment. It's all about making sure that you use best practices to stay safe. And so we launched what's called our Move Safe program. Mm-hmm. And what we do is we certify an agent we ask them a bunch of questions on how they're conducting their business. Then we follow up them to understand specific practices that they use with their business, and then we certify them as MoveSafe certified. And this kind of communicates then to their constituencies, their clients, that they can that they use best practices, and the client should trust them to to help them sell their home safely and successfully.
Well, again, that comes down to like one less area of concern, because there's so much uncertainty on a good day in real
That's right. And so the things we look at, basic things like just, is the home being properly cleaned and sanitized in between showings, all the way to like, are we doing everything we can to properly vet a buyer before a showing if the home is occupied, right? If the home is not occupied, it's not as big of a deal. But if the home is occupied, is the agent getting proof of funds for cash buyers, or firm pre-approval for a buyer before they're offering to actually show the property, things like that. Is the agent doing everything they can to market the home very effectively online, so that we can minimize the number of showings but still successfully sell the home? So things like using 3D tours, virtual staging, all this kind of stuff for the home. Yeah.
Well, again, and that kind of serves the agent, right? It's you're providing this checklist, and you're taking the uncertainty out of what they need to do, because so many agents are kind of recreating this on a daily basis. What does safety look like? What is the protocol for today? And you're taking that uncertainty out of that for them.
That's right. It's one more point of friction that we're just trying to eliminate from the transaction. What's funny is the Tradein product that we spoke about earlier, even though we launched in January, it's actually, even though it has a lot of value add, in an environment pre-COVID, in a COVID environment, it's especially helpful because it allows you to get out of the house and into your new home before you end up showing your existing property, right? So Homelight just buys the home from you, and then Homelight worries about all of the new prospective buyers tromping through the home. Right. So it's a much safer way to transact a home. So we've seen tremendous demand for this because, obviously all of the traditional kind of implications, but then also it's just a safer way to transact.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And who knew that was going to happen? But I guess, it worked out that application became relevant. So thank you for taking us through that. What else is coming down the pipe for Homelight? What are you really excited about looking forward into the rest of this very interesting year that we're having?
Yeah, I think everyone's, staying on top of the macroeconomic environment here. We're quite pleased by how the capital markets have really, responded. I think a lot of people in March or early March probably would have been, said there's no way that the markets would be kind of in the situation they're in right now. But I do still think there's a lot of underlying risk, right? You've got, tens of millions of people who are no longer paying rent, or who are no longer paying their mortgage. And so all of this has to, sort itself out in some form or fashion. And so we're just looking really closely at how we're kind of going to go back to normal here, and what that's going to mean for the economy and for housing and for real estate, right? And so, but there's definitely going to be opportunity for those companies and agents who have their finger on the pulse of their local market. But yeah, and then aside from that, we're just continuing to launch new products and new services for our agents, right? So we have MoveSafe, Tradein. There's our cash offer product, which we also launched in January. We basically turn every buyer into a cash buyer, even if they need a mortgage. Wow. So really to help buyers, make the strongest offer possible, right? For a given home. And again, this is an agent first product. So if you're a top agent and you're trying to, you obviously want to help your buyer, succeed and win in a competitive situation. Well, you can get them approved for cash offer, and then Homelight will buy the home, and then turn around and sell it to your buyer. So that offer can be the strongest possible. It increases the likelihood that your buyer will end up end up succeeding and winning the home, and obviously increases the likelihood that you're that you're going to get paid at the end of the day. So again, it's just another example of kind of one of several tools in the toolkit.
Absolutely. And I think, the word you said before is opportunity. And that really jumps out to me because, your survey is showing optimism. There's a lot of opportunity out there that counteracts, the uncertainty that everyone's experiencing. And like you said, run toward it, run toward the technology, be fluent in it, so that you're all the more valuable for your clients at the end of the day.
I mean, it's just really funny. I think that, there's just going to be a major resorting of locally, right? So I think you're going to have places like New York and San Francisco that I think have a really uncertain future from a real estate perspective, right? I mean, I'm a homeowner in SF, and we were lucky that we got in years ago. So we've had a lot of I've had a lot of upside on my property, but I just there's a lot of the fundamentals that really drove these markets before, specifically with being really close proximity to very high paying jobs. That's all really kind of turned on its head with remote work. And so I think, and then you have other places that are just naturally desirable to live that weren't close to jobs that we think I think could have really strong pricing dynamics over the next 5+ years, right? So like a lot of these places tend to be like vacation destinations, right? So like the Tahoe or Summit County, Colorado, or any kind of ski town, any beach town, like the California coast, the coast of Florida. Like San Diego is a city that pops into my mind as one that I mean, who doesn't like San Diego? What a great town. I mean, the weather's fantastic. There's so much to see and do. It's super fun. There's the restaurant scene and nightlife scene is really amazing. But there's compared to other big cities, there's not a lot of commerce, right? There's not a lot of high paying jobs in San Diego compared to like a New York City or a Chicago or something, right? And so, but cities like that could really benefit in the in this new world. And so and I think we're already starting to see that as like just everything I've heard from agents kind of around Northern California. It's certain pockets are winning and certain pockets are maybe a little slower.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, you'll find out when you do your next survey in what, like an hour, right? You've got that coming up.
It feels like we're doing them every hour at this point.
I bet that. Drew, is that publicly available? Is there anywhere that folks can consume that content, or are you just kind of keeping that inside?
Yes, we've published a report that's pretty comprehensive. I think it's something like 20+ pages. It's our top agents insight report. It should be on our blog. If you just go to the Homelight blog, you should be able to. There should be a link to it there, but I can follow up with. We'll make sure to put a link in the
description because that's great stuff. We want to make sure everyone has access to that.
That would be fantastic.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here, Drew. This was a great conversation. I think everyone's going to take away a lot of things from it. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Lauren. It was wonderful to be on. Thanks for taking the time to chat today.
You got it. Take care.
All right. Take care. Thank you.